Welcome back to the Coaches Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Trey Belcher. With me, as always, my tag team partner, Corey Smallwood. How's it going, Corey?
What's up, Trey?
Everything's good, always. With us today is the author of Fitness Profits and the host of Your Fitness Money Coach podcast, Billy Hofacker. Welcome in, Billy.
Well, what's up, guys? I'm excited to be here. I couldn't sleep last night. So excited to hang out with you guys.
It's like Christmas.
This is the refrain we keep hearing. This is the place to be, and we are the cool kids on the block. So welcome in to be one of the cool kids.
Absolutely, man. On my wall at my home office, I have my life goals on there, and it's this is up there. So I'm super excited to chat with you guys. You guys are doing an awesome job right off the bat, just with these genuine conversations, and I think it's just so needed. And great work you guys are doing.
I appreciate it. All kidding aside.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, it's easy for us when we've got good people surrounding us and people who we've learned from, you included, and to bring all of us together is so much fun. And we make these jokes, but like we were talking before we came on, you have to know it's all in jest, and we're humbled and
Yes.
honored to be doing this and to have you on and to just be able to do these things. So welcome in, and we appreciate you. So to kind of bring things up from the beginning, you wrote Fitness Profits, and it tells your story about how you were in debt and how you got out of debt, and now how you are helping other people to get out of debt. So I want to start there, not necessarily with what the story was, and feel free to go back as far as you need to. But once you got to the point where you were getting yourself out of debt, what's the point from which you get out of debt till you begin to start helping others? How was the process of going from you getting yourself out to being the guy who helps others get out?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think about the idea that just right now, my life it's good, and I'm really thankful. We're about to have our 5th child, and I live in Middle Tennessee, and I can, at some level, there's a bunch of freedom in my life, and I never would have imagined being here now all those years ago, going back to 2010. Like if you would have told me like almost anything about my life now, and I know a lot of us can relate to that. Like, I would have thought you were crazy. It all started in 2010, as you mentioned, getting into a bunch of debt. It was our wake up call. I was getting ready for work one day, and I had been a business owner. I've been a fitness business owner since it's either 2000 or 2001. I believe it was 2000. Man, it was either, I can't remember. It was definitely one of those years, either 2000 or 2000. But either way, it's about 25 years I've been a fitness business owner. So I wasn't this brand new fitness professional. I'd been doing it for a while. So now it's 2010. I was pre brick and mortar owner, which was a big part of my journey. And it was right before that. It was 2010. I was getting ready for work. Got the knock on the door, opened the door. There's a jacked bald dude on my stoop. Looked past him. There's my brand new Lamborghini, no kidding, my brand new white Honda Accord. That was a 2000 Honda Accord, and it was hooked up to his tow truck. Our car had been repossessed, and I was like shocked. I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing. I had never seen a car be repossessed. I was like in complete denial. People say like, how did that happen? Like, and I can't even tell you. Like, I had no clue, never even thought about it. I was totally behind on things. At that point, I was confused. I was angry. I was frustrated. It was a really difficult time for my wife and I. I was embarrassed. My neighbors are gonna see my car getting taken away. I begged the guy. I said, please unhook the car. I have to get to work. My wife's inside. I can't do this. And he was really nice, actually. When I tell the story on stage, I play it up, and he's got the tattoos on his neck and the piercings all over, and he looks like this mean guy who's actually really nice. He was very sympathetic, and but yeah, sure enough, he couldn't help me out. He pulled away, and that was our wake up call. We discovered we had $130,000 in non-mortgage debt. It was difficult to say the least. My wife and I, we couldn't talk about money without arguing. We didn't know where to go, what to do, and that led to the transition. He made a decision, and like snapping a finger, we got out of our debt. Kidding again. In five years, we paid off the $130K. Fast forward another 7 years. That point, in 2010, I started my own gym. It was February of 2010. So it was right around the same time. My wife was, our first daughter was born in 2011. So we were newly married, about to start a family. car gets repossessed, got 130K in debt. And I had a really good job, by the way. I was making good money. We were bringing in over six figures, which in 2010 dollars was like $3 billion per year, right? So we were doing really well. And we decided to open a gym. My wife left her job, not to really run the gym, but just to be home with our first daughter because it just didn't make sense for her to work. It's a whole nother story. And that was the start of things. And yeah, like to answer your question, during that time, there was no thought of me helping other people. It was like I was just trying to get some breathing room, get my head above water. But yeah, little by little, we ended up paying that off. And 7 years later, we paid off all of our debt, total of 500K. And it was around 2016-ish, we had a really successful gym operation in New York, multiple locations, highly profitable. And obviously that's how we got out of the debt. And people started asking me, what are you doing? Like, how are you running your facilities? And they were all debt free. We never took a loan, like all this stuff that was kind of different than the way a lot of other people were doing things. And I started doing some business coaching. I first partnered with Pat Rigsby on some different things. One was like almost like a licensing thing of how I was running the gyms. And then this whole thing happened in 2020, March of 2020. I'm on vacation, relaxing and on vacation with my family. And I get a text from a client who was like a part-time coach. He had just started working as a part-time coach. He said, hey man, gyms are shut down. That's how I found out about the closure during COVID. I was, again, just like I was in denial about my financial situation in 2010, I was kind of in denial of what was happening. And that was obviously a big deal for us, and navigating it from being away and not even being able to go home because of all the travel restrictions and everything else. So that was a whole mess. But then during that time, I'm getting there, Trey. I'm getting to the answer here. So during that time, I was coaching gym owners, and I do remember exactly when it happened. I was driving to Chase Bank to do a withdrawal in my car. I'm listening to a podcast and it hit me. I said, I have this unique experience. Yes, I love business and I have that experience, but what I really have is this journey of understanding what it's like to have a financial turnaround, the highs and the lows and everything in between, and managing a family and all that stuff. And at that moment, it hit me. This is like my calling, or this is my path. I know it sounds kind of woo woo, but I did have that moment where I knew that was like kind of what was in store. And I was locked up in my basement. It was actually the first floor of my house. I wasn't allowed to be in my gym by myself. So I followed the rules for at first, at least, and I avoided going to my gym by myself because it was dangerous. And I didn't know what to do. So I wrote the book. I wrote Fitness Profits, which was sharing my journey in an effort to help other people. I started the podcast, You're a Fitness Money Coach. Can't believe it's been over 5 years. And I created a course, an 8-week course, and that led to more coaching opportunities and speaking opportunities and writing. And fast forward a bunch more. Our gyms actually did well during COVID, and happy to talk about that. Considering in 2023, we decided to move across, kind of across the country, 1,000 miles away. I kept the gym business for 2 years. And as of this recording, about 2 weeks ago, we actually sold the gym. And now I am a full-time, whatever I do, it's full-time. I'm trying to still figure that out.
Well, it's funny that you get into that, and we were just talking before we started about find your passion and Cal Newport, and I'll let you and Corey dig deeper into the parts because you guys were kind of in that conversation. But being passionate about your work versus being skilled in your work, and how those two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, and how it's not always the passion that pays the bills, and how all of those things intertwine. But it is funny, sort of serendipitous. And you and I had a conversation a couple months ago. And once, you reached out to me, and which I thought was so cool of you to reach out to me and say, hey, let's get to know each other. You guys knew each other, and we laughed about last year at the Perform Better. Corey and I are walking, and we catch you going down the escalator, we're going up, and you guys say hello, and we just kind of nod.
Mm-hmm.
And the timing wasn't right for us to get to know each other, but here we are now, and building the friendships and things. But you get into those different parts of life, but you guys get into the passion and all the beauty that comes in with that.
Well, if it's okay, let me share a couple of random thoughts as it relates to that, and then I know Corey's got some thoughts. I think with a lot of things, there's two extremes, right? One says, find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life, and the other is, I guess, it's a grind, and then when you become 67 years old, you can start living your purpose because you've worked hard and now you deserve it. And I think a lot of times the answer lies somewhere more in the middle. And I'll share an example. This is a guy that I get, I can get emotional thinking about him. He's like a best friend, and he's in his mid 70s, and he's been such a great friend and mentor. He was one of my first clients. So I don't really actively train people, but I've been training him for it was before 9/11, so whatever that is, like 25, 26 years, and he's never missed a session, and super, like he's almost like, you think of that guy that's like had a successful life, and it's just like lived his life well. And he worked as an attorney, and he didn't really like it. If he's being honest, I'm sure there were other aspects of it that he liked, but he said, no, he's like, I do this so that I can do all the other things. And he had lots of other things. His big thing was family and travel. And that doesn't matter as much because it just, it really depends on the individual and what they brings them fulfillment. And that is a common one, but he didn't have to do this thing that didn't feel like work. No, it felt like work, and there's nothing wrong with that. Work can be very good for us. I think you have to like something about what you do, and I know he did. He might not admit that easily, but I know that he did. You have to find something about it that you like, and maybe it's just the growth aspect of it, or the learning aspect, or the people aspect, or whatever it is. And I don't think that's hard for us to find as gym owners, but yeah, I think what I was saying before we hit record was, I think there's this danger of attaching our purpose to this super achievement oriented thing. And I am like, beyond guilty of this. I'll never forget. It's like, once I become debt free, I was like, I made it. Man, if I could only be debt free. And I'll never forget our last debt payment was to my mom. Actually, I had a loan with her, and it was a huge amount because we were doing the debt snowball, which is where you just kind of keep stacking it up. And by the end of it, it's pretty big. It was thousands, that last payment. So I stroked that check, put it in the mail, and I don't know, like it just didn't do it. Maybe like a minute or so of like, yeah, felt really good. And then I jumped right away to like, what's next? And there were no balloons. In fact, I went pretty soon after that to the store, and they had some nerve. They didn't even know about it. They didn't congratulate me. They didn't throw a party for me. They just looked at me like I was the same as everybody else. So
Dave Ramsey wasn't at your door?
he wasn't. Nope.
No.
It was one of the examples. I have a lot of those examples where I attached my expectations were just based on this thing, this external thing, this achievement thing, and it's just not there. So yeah.
Well, I think Billy, that we have a lot of, especially in the smaller training gym arena, that we have a lot of trainers that did real well as an Equinox trainer or a lifetime trainer. They talk to their client. We just had Dan Kleckner on it. It's kind of how he got his first gym started. Opened a gym, had investors, and we think everything is, oh, I'm going to just kill it. I'm going to knock the cover off the ball. I'm going to open 5, 10, 15 of these. Then I'm going to franchise, and I'm going to be, Todd Dirk and Martin Rooney. I'm speaking of, like, they have this, and yet it's one of the most difficult businesses to run. And what are some things that you can maybe give red flags out there for them to look for, or something where your rock bottom was seeing your new car get repoed?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people wait until that happens, right? They hit rock bottom before they seek out somebody like yourself that says, hey, help me turn this around financially. And at that point, you're like, why didn't you call me last year? Like, this is right. This is absolute rock bottom. It's much harder for it to turn around at rock bottom than it is to when you start seeing some of the red flags. I just don't think a lot of people getting into this business understand what those red flags are.
That's good. Yeah. For me, the big piece, and the one that I talk about a lot, is the financial side. I think we have to, I mean, this is a whole conversation, but I think it's things like getting our personal financial house in order is huge. A lot of business owners struggle financially in their business because of their personal finances, and that does not get enough credit. Of course, there's the business side as well of the finances, and I think one of the common mistakes, either thinking that I need to be at a certain point before I do this. And I compare it to, all of us have clients that have said, yeah, I was just trying to get in shape before I came to you. And it's a kind of the same deal when it comes to the business side. Like, no, you get your foundation in order and then you grow, rather than grow and then get your foundation in order. That's backwards. And that's hard to for people to get. That's something that I try to drill. And a lot of people just think they just need 2 more clients. They just need 5 more clients. They just need another 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. And rarely is that the case because they don't have clarity. And without clarity, there's confusion. With confusion, there's a lack of confidence. There's poor decisions and just a bad spiral. I think the other side to that is associating with the best people that are going to support you the most. And particularly when it comes to the finances, things like having a good bookkeeper, having a good CPA. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I get on with people and they're making money. They don't realize that not all of that money is theirs. A portion of that has to be paid to Uncle Sam, and that's not a fun place to dig out of. I've been there, so no judgment. I've been there myself, where I had to set up payment plans with the IRS. I never had a lot of business debt, which was interesting because all the debt I shared in my story was all personal, but the debt I did have was with the IRS. Another thing that comes to mind is the people side of things, because I think being like a good technical trainer is great, but what really creates success, whatever that is for people, is going to be the relationships with their clients. If they want to scale beyond themselves, it's going to be understanding how to relate and to connect with people. And a lot of times the lack of that ability stems from, and I don't mean to turn this into like an overly deep talk here, but it's from an underneath the surface underdevelopment. People that are constantly, maybe they're just random examples, like they're always blaming everybody else. They're not taking responsibility. Things like that make it very difficult for you to get ahead, because you're not able to really connect with people, you're able to really relate with to people. Even things like understanding your own feelings. I mean, it sounds like again, like we shouldn't be worried about that as gym owners or fit pros, but no, the best owners of anything are the ones that can manage their own emotions. They can truly connect with people. They understand what they need. They understand what other people need. And those are hard things when we have a lot of things we need to work on ourselves. So I think growing outside of just learning another kettlebell exercise is a thing that people wait way too long to do. That's something that needs to be part of everybody's journey, is being able to improve in their own growth.
Yeah, understanding that business and financial side, I think, is key, because there's so many great trainers. I mean, they're just great trainers. They have great people skills. They can work with their staff. But, when I talk with them, I'd be like, did you take any business courses in school? No, I was an ex-phys. I took kinesiology and all the other stuff, but not any business or marketing or any of those type of classes. Or, what was the last business book you read? Or they're not spending as much time on those skills as they are, like you said, figuring out what the next sandbag or the next kettlebell technique is. And that is the foundation. Or partner with somebody or hire somebody to do that side of it. Especially if you're weak at that, you got to get somebody in there, because that is just as important, if not more important, than the technical side of it that you're putting out.
Agreed. And just to sort of add to that, even if you are delegating it, it's still very important to take ownership of what's happening.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, they delegate it either to the wrong person, or they just take their hands off completely and they don't know what's flying. And the truth is, like, even the best CPAs, they have, I don't know, they have 50 other clients. So you want to make sure that you are double checking everything. You're your own advocate. You're learning, learning different aspects of it from them or from other places, podcasts, books, etc. And then the other piece that jumped out at me is, I agree with you 100%, Corey. And why are they not doing those things? I think that's worth it to explore. And a lot of it sounds obvious, like, oh yeah, well, it's just not as fun for them. And that's part of it. But there's other stuff there, right? Like, I don't want to look like it's on the outside. It seems so crazy. It's like, how does somebody get to be 100 pounds overweight? Then they look in the mirror and see that there was an issue. It's like, yeah, but it's much deeper than that, right? Like, 'cause that's obvious, but there were things going on that prevented them from doing that. It's the same thing with the finances. Like, I know that I'm in trouble, but what do? I sign up for a kettlebell certification. Like, it makes them think they're doing something, but they're not doing the hard thing. And the reason they're not doing the hard thing is something underneath. It's a mindset issue. And those are great things for people to explore. And I don't have all the answers. I actually help people work through some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, even just getting curious about yourself. Like, if you're listening to this and you've always avoided the business side and the finances, just get curious about that. Yeah, I wonder what that's about. And then you start to realize that there's something attached to that.
Well, as we talking, I just saw Frank Nash posted something the other day, and he was talking about how every great basketball player, every top golfer, tennis player, it doesn't matter if you are at the top level of your game, you have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the best guys and women in the business of running fitness businesses, they all also have coaches or
Mm-hmm.
mentors or a
Mm-hmm.
team that they work with. And I think a lot of, especially the newer trainers or gym owners, operators, put themselves on this island. Like, well, I'm a great coach, so I'm going to just do this. And it's such an uphill battle. It's a struggle all the time if you don't have that person that's willing to give you tough love, that's willing to bounce ideas, that is ahead of where you are, where you want to be. They're going to show you some of the speed bumps, the hurdles, some of the headaches that they had that you don't have to then endure yourself.
Nah, man, that's such a good point. And why is it? Another thing to get curious about if you're listening, like, why don't you have a coach? What is it? Because you think you could do everything on your own? If so, that's something that you should probably check into. Is it because maybe you don't trust people? I mean, there's so many
Too
reasons why that might be
expensive.
the case. Yeah, too expensive. Like, getting curious about that. There's no doubt about it. We grow with other people and in community and through coaching. I mean, I've had coaches consistently my entire career. Even to this day, I have several coaches at least.
And I think all these things tie in. We talk about having a coach or a mentor. We talk about the soft skill development. Ultimately, regardless of what you're doing, and whether you use a kettlebell, a dumbbell, a TRX, or whatever, these are just tools. Ultimately, it's all people dealing with people. And it's always
Mm-hmm.
the soft skills that will help make you successful, because people are going to want to be around you, because you're going to make people
Mm-hmm.
feel good, because you're going to care about the people, and you're going to work hard for the people. But it all boils down to your support system. Your coach is part of
Mm-hmm.
your support system. Your family is a part of your support system. And I know that's a big thing
That's
for
big.
you, Billy. That's something that
Yeah.
we've talked about. And for me, in my journey, I started this as a hobby. It was a second thing. I was a career firefighter. And without my support system at home, and I think that's a huge thing. Without my wife, Jenna, saying, "Hey, go do this. I've got your back. I'm here." You don't have that safety net to be willing to step out and to be willing to take those chances. So
Powerful.
having the support system, whether it's a coach, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your colleagues, somebody to hold you accountable, to be there to support you, to do all the things that you need that you aren't equipped for, or aren't ready for, or are scared to do. I think that's a huge part of all of this.
Yeah, Trey, that really jazzes me up here. I felt something inside of me when you said that, because it's so powerful. Most of us, myself included, we underestimate the amount of support we need from other people. I would argue, if you're listening to this and you have a coach, it's probably, and I don't mean to cause people to feel that like it's never enough, because that could be dangerous too. But even if you have a coach, even if you have a great marriage, it's probably not quote unquote enough. You need people. If one thing we know through research, it's that people thrive through those relationships with other people. I can give a reference to a book that goes into the science side of it as well as super practical side. It's called People Fuel, and it's written by John Townsend. It talks about all the different types of relationships we need to have the fuel. It's things that some of them are obvious, like coaches, but there's other ones too, like even just friends, even the importance of having casual relationships with, like casual acquaintances with people. Those are all part of it. There's that where mentoring somebody else is another one, right? Because we could easily think that we just need people that we are like getting stuff from, but it goes full circle. We need to give it too. And I also thought of the quote that I love, which is, "You can't give what you don't possess." And if Trey just talked about the idea that we need to be in this relationship business, and that's a big part of that is giving to others, making deposits in them, encouraging them, being with them, listen, all that stuff. But if we're not getting it, there's no way we're going to have the capacity to give it. So is it hard work? Yes, it is. Is it worth it? Man, if there's anything that's worth it, it's that.
So when you have, listening to this podcast here, gym owners, operators, but also just coaches. So if you are one of those that's just a Gold's Gym trainer or online trainer, all good things. Where would they start by even maybe doing a financial checkup, like to even evaluate are they on the right track or not? Or what if they're looking at, listening to this and they're a couple years out of college and they haven't even thought about what a budget means? Like, where would you tell somebody to start, if they are a gym owner operator, or if they are just a coach? Like, what would be some big time, large thoughts of where to start to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success financially?
I think of two pieces to this. One would be sort of like the snapshot of your financial life, whether that's your personal life or your business life. So that would be things like possibly a scary thing for people, but like doing a net worth statement, right? So what do you own right now? So that might be how much cash do you have, really anything that has value, anything that you could essentially trade for cash. And what do you owe? How much debt do you have? And what you own minus what you owe is going to be your net worth. And it's not so important what that number is, but it does give you sort of a starting point. You know where you're at. It's not to measure yourself up against anybody else, but it's just a nice way for you to measure your progress year over year. So I might start there, just looking at the big picture, and then what are those things comprised of, right? So breaking them down. But then the other side is more of sort of like the process side of how am I currently operating my finances? What does that look like? What happens to the money that comes in and goes out? How are bills being paid? Where is the money going from? How many bank accounts do I have? Those kinds of things. And for a basic starting point, if we are, whether we're sort of a solopreneur or maybe a little bit beyond that, then making sure that our business finances and our personal finances, even if you are a solo trainer and your life is that you wake up, you train 6 people, go home, rinse and repeat, separating that income that's coming in through your professional career from your personal expenses. So in other words, you wouldn't train Joe, take $100, then go to the store and buy groceries. You would train your clients and you would treat it like a business. You would then pay yourself from the business, and then you would use that money to grow. So you would need separate bank accounts to do that, of course. Yeah, tracking is going to be huge. So like, what are both on the personal side and on the business side, what is what I call your BBB, your bare bones budget? So how much do you need to, on the business side, keep the doors open, on the personal side, to just be able to survive? Knowing that is important. Obviously, knowing where things are going currently. So how much are you spending on everything, right? So break down those categories. How much is your rent or your mortgage? How much are you paying for groceries? How much are you paying for utilities, your clothing, your extras, right? So there's the things that you kind of need, and there's the things that you want, and knowing how much you're spending on there. I think knowing that is a good place to start, because then from there you can start creating a better system for yourself to move closer to your goals. I also have, and I could share this, I also have a PDF. It's called the Wealth Building System, and it shows you where you might put your next dollar, because I think it's also important to know where that next dollar goes. Does it go down, paying down debt? Does it go toward savings? Does it go toward building up an emergency fund? There's these various sort of stepping stones that you want to look at.
Yeah, it's great.
So when you're coaching your business clients, whether
Hmm.
it's a trainer in a facility or a business owner, and more geared toward the solo trainer, and you say separate everything, do you suggest them to create an LLC to give themselves that financial protection should they get into some trouble? How do you navigate those issues?
Yeah, I would say for the most part, yes. I don't see that many scenarios where you wouldn't want an LLC. Again, the kind of like thing I have to say is to consult with a lawyer and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what is an LLC? An LLC is a limited liability company that is a separate entity from you, the person. So if you're a trainer and you're Bob's training and you train your clients, if that's a separate and that's an LLC, then Bob, the individual, is not liable for anything that happens. If there's a lawsuit, somebody comes after him, they can come after the LLC, which is not going to be fun, but it's way better. So I would say short answer is, I mean, this basically includes everybody. So I would say if you have anything that you don't want at risk, or you're going to have things in the future that you don't want at risk, then it's probably a good idea to consider creating an LLC so things are separate. Because you might say, "Oh, I'm only 19 years old and I don't have a house, I don't have a family, so I'm fine." Yeah, you might be okay in that scenario, but if you have bigger aspirations and you're going to be building things, why not get out ahead of it? It's pretty easy to do. I created one when I was like 20 years old or so.
You talk about consulting an attorney, but those things that we aren't good at, that's just part of the support system. And
Yes.
if you have relationships with attorneys, you may train an attorney. I train two attorneys and they've become two of my best friends. But regardless, if you don't know, you just seek out the knowledge or seek out people who have that knowledge. And that just creates a bigger support system. And that just creates a fuller life for you. And it creates more relationships. And so many good things come from it. And the cost is minimal in relation to what return you're going to get on that.
Yeah. There's a financial author, a business author named Keith Cunningham, and one of his arguments is the biggest key to success is just not making stupid decisions. And it sounds so obvious, but if you look at a lot of people that get thrown off course, it's because there was a big bad decision, and a lot of that relates to not having a good support system. So because I didn't consult with a lawyer, I didn't create an LLC, and then I ended up losing everything, that kind of thing. So those are the kind of big things you want to watch out for. They're the things that you don't think are going to happen, but they happen to people every single day. A good example of that is not having insurance. It's probably going to be fine. I don't think my clients are going to sue me. They really like me, and so I'm going to save the few $100s that it would cost me to get some liability insurance. And then all of a sudden, that's not the case for somebody, right? It could be something as serious as life insurance. I mean, there's all different types of policies that we want to look at depending on where we're at in our life.
I think a lot of people don't put emphasis in the financial side of it because it's not fun, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not the thing that they're good at, and it's not the thing that really motivates them to get out of bed in the morning. So they would rather,
Good.
as opposed to spending the hour of mining data and running reports and doing all those type of things, they'd rather, okay, I'll just go get one more client and I'll train during that hour. And so I think that's a huge, and we talk to our clients all the time that of course, they'd rather eat the chocolate cake than the vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do the boring things. You got to be consistent in your workouts. You got to eat the correct foods. You got to get the right amount of sleep in order to see success in your fitness and fat loss goals. You got to do the same. You got to do the things that you don't want to do in order to achieve your fitness or your business goals as well.
Mm-hmm. It's a good little exercise just to ask why. Like, why do you want the things you say you want? I want to make six figures. Okay, why? And usually it's going to be something like, oh, because I'll be able to have more time freedom, and then I'll be able to spend more time with my family, or I'll be able to go on these trips. So that's important because a lot of times we're just chasing stuff for really no reason, just like somebody else said it. But then if you can attach some of those things that Corey's talking about to that, because why did I get up yesterday at 5 a.m. to go to the gym? Like, did I really like doing that? No, not at all. I would have much preferred to stay in bed. But why did I do it? Well, I knew that it would give me more energy for the day. I would feel better. I'd be a better dad. Like that'll get me up. Right. And we hear it all the time, like just, know your why and start with why. But it's very similar here. Like, why would I do a budget? Well, I mean, there is no doubt about it. If you do a budget, you are going to end up in a way better spot than if you don't. And if you really want to end up in that better spot, then you'll do that thing. And there are ways to make it manageable, to make it less painful, just like working out. What do you do? What do you do when you want to work out, but you really don't like it? Well, maybe I really, we could choose anything, right? Like I really don't like weights, but I like cardio. Okay, fine. Like do some cardio, do some sprints, and it's a lot better than doing nothing. Okay, I don't like budgeting every single penny. Okay, fine. There's a lot of things we can do to give you most of the benefits. Like I think we could all argue that, yeah, like maybe there's like an ideal way to train, but the reality is if an average person just did most of the stuff most of the time, even though they didn't always do the proper amount of strength training or proper amount of cardio or whatever it is, they're probably gonna end up in a good spot. It's the same thing here. So yeah, that's that's kind of like why I'm here, is to share that and to let you know that there is a way you can do it. You don't need to be this like financial guru or genius. You can build in some pretty basic things that will have a dramatic result over time. I don't love spreadsheets. What I love is the results they create.
And if you can systematize it, if you
Mm-hmm.
can organize it, just like you would with, you talk to your clients about, strength training and nutrition. If you can put some sort of system behind it, on this day you do this and on this day you do that,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a little bit easier. I'm going to use the word, but it at least will get done, as opposed to being pushed back until it's been, now it's 3 months later, 90 days, and you're going, oh gosh, what happened?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not beating a dead horse yet, I will after this. It's like, how stressful is it just to have no clarity? Like I literally have no idea what decision I should make because I have no clarity. And most people do what's called bank balance accounting, which means that they log into their account. If the money's there, they make the decision. If the money's not there, they don't make the decision. And I can guarantee you that is not a stress-free or peaceful way to live or manage your finances. It's much more freeing to actually know what's happening. So yeah, it's like choose your pain kind of thing.
Yeah, one way or the other. You're either going to pay a little bit as you go and come out
Mm-hmm.
better on the other side, or you're going to put it off until you have to pay a lot later. And it's no different than training. It's no different than doing homework when you're a kid.
Yeah.
The process is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pay one way or the other. So you might as well make it easy on yourself. You make it easy on yourself by doing the hard things in small bites as you go, so that you come out better on the other end.
Yes. And the only thing we didn't touch on is maybe it's obvious, but is sort of like the identity around that. I heard another kind of mentor of mine. He says, like, why do we do what we do? And he uses an example like, if you see yourself as somebody who's late, like, why do you see yourself as that? And it's like kind of like not a trick question, but it's like overly obvious that you don't, people don't realize, well, it's because I'm late. Like the reason why I say I'm always late is because I'm always late, right? It's like, it doesn't have to be a rocket science, right? So the reason why I'm not fit or whatever is because I don't work out and I don't pay attention. If I have the identity that I'm not good with finances, it's because I am not doing these kinds of things. That identity, and I am very much proof that identity can change by changing behavior. So just like you see yourself, listener, as somebody who's fit, most likely as a fit pro, you don't see yourself as somebody who's fit financially. There's no doubt about it. If you can see yourself as fit physically, you can see yourself as fit financially. All you have to do is, just like you did with your fitness, is you have to do those habits that made you fit and made you feel that way with your finances.
That's awesome stuff. And that's why we seek you out as a friend first, soft skills first, and as a financial coach. And we talk about having actionable items and being able to give people real ways to make things better for themselves. So friend first, financial coach second, because you're one of the best. So
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
you just sold your business. What's next, A? And then B, I know you're speaking at Perform Better this summer. give us a plug for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in Chicago. So for those that don't know, there are 3 Perform Better Summits this year. We have Chicago is first, then LA, and then Rhode Island. They are all incredible. And I will be presenting at the Chicago Summit, and that's mid-June. My daughter, I was a little bit sad because her birthday is June 11th. And when I booked it, I didn't even think about it because it's June 12th. Like, oh yeah, that's not her birthday. But then you don't realize that you have to get there a day early. So I will be traveling on her birthday. So that's clear to me. It's the event is June 12th, which, if I'm correct there, that should be the Thursday. And then it goes through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then same with the other 2. The closeout is Rhode Island, which I will also be at. So if anybody's there, would love to connect there. Checking out Corey's talk and some of the others. So it's going to be great. I would love for people to get there. That's one of the things that I always say, and I'm not just saying this, is that you need to be in the room. You need to be at these events. The connections that you make can be completely life-changing, and you never know which one it's going to be at. So that for that reason, you have to go and you have to keep going. And that's something I've done for a long time, and I've always recommended and always will recommend. Podcasts are great because we shared a lot of great content here, right? But there's a big difference if you and I are sitting across from each other, having a chat in person, right? So I would love to see you there. As far as what I'm working on, lots of stuff. I'll start with personal because it's more important. And that is, I guess most of the work has been done, but we're expecting another little one coming in just about a little over a month and a half. So super excited about that. That'll be our 5th child. On the professional side, I'm writing a book called Fit Finances that I'm excited about. It's more geared towards fitness business owners. Don't have any specific timeframes for that, but I am deep into it. And I'm doing lots of exciting things. So we'd love for people to stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you finish the book, always welcome to come back on. You're welcome to come back on anytime anyway, but definitely come back and plug the book, and we will do everything we can to help get it out to the masses.
Great. That's awesome. I'm there.
Consider it a date. So we won't take up any more time. I know we got Corey's got sessions coming up, and we want to hold you up. I know you got to get ready for baby number 5. Congratulations to you guys. That is, God bless you.
Listen. If you're out there and you are a praying person, just keep us in prayer. We need it. No, it's fun. It's good stuff, and we're excited.
Perfect. Well, we thank you guys for joining us on the Coaches Unscripted podcast. We hope today's stories have inspired and empowered you in your coaching journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow coaches. Connect with us on Instagram at Coaches Unscripted Podcast to continue the conversation and stay updated on future episodes. Follow Billy on Instagram at Billy Hofacker. Billy, we thank you so much for joining us today, buddy. Until next time,
you guys.
For Corey Smallwood, I'm Trey Belcher. Keep coaching from the heart and building strong communities.